want to just introduce Martin Henley. Great big pleasure in introducing him. Fabulous speaker. Thank you, Martin. Over to you.
Thank you, Chris. So we're all refreshed and recharged.
Yes.
We're ready to get in the mood for some selling. Yeah? Get in the mood for some selling. Okay. Bringing you along slowly. Those of you who were around in the 80s, I know you all were. Maybe you guys weren't quite. But you will recognise the Nolan's reference. It's my overriding dream to have people up in the morning dancing to the Nolan sisters. I think that would be incredible. And one day that might actually happen. I've got a little bit of an agenda for you this morning. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the opportunity to define what sales means to you. Because sales doesn't have a great rep, does it? In this day and age? No, it doesn't. Very definite no from the back there. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to define what sales means to you. Going to give you the opportunity to review your attitude to sales and salespeople. I'm going to give you the opportunity to revise your belief in your own sales ability. I'm going to get you to commit to doing something different that will make you better at sales. I'm going to identify ways of motivating you and the people who sell for you. We're going to do some silly things. And we're going to have some fun. Is that okay with everyone?
Yes, Martin.
Thank you, Tim. Excellent. Right, so the big question then is, what is it that we're talking about? So we're talking about selling. So the question in my mind, and the question I have for you, is what is selling actually? Now, just for the next 30 seconds, so you've got 15 seconds each, I want you to turn to the person next to you and actually just have a very, very quick conversation about actually what selling means to you. Is that okay? So 30 seconds starts now. Okay. Excellent. So we've got an idea in our minds then of what selling is, have we? Certainly we have something to talk about. Okay. Something you'd like to share with the class? No?
Just to prove you have no idea.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. You had a nice one, didn't you, Liz? Do you want to share that with the class?
Okay, no pressure. Mine was coming away from a successful meeting of whatever shape or form, happy that the person I've been speaking to is really happy with the decision that they've made to move forward with business.
Okay.
I like feeling like that.
That sounds nice, doesn't it? That sounds like a nice sales thing. Not sure that that's the attitude that we all have to sales. So anyway, I've got some ideas. No, towards salespeople though.
Yeah.
We don't feel like we've heard from Tim already this morning, like you don't want to be the salesperson in a networking meeting because people are seen as being pushy. But let's just have a little idea. So knocking on doors, did anyone mention that knocking on doors was part of sales? Nobody did.
Nobody mentioned knockers here, no.
Nobody mentioned knockers. No knockers over here. Okay. And our survey says knocking on doors isn't sales. Okay, cool. So did anyone mention cold calling when they were talking about what sales means to them or what selling is?
No.
You're sharp here this morning, and our survey said excellent. So networking. Did anyone mention about networking when they were talking about what selling is this morning? Nobody mentioned. Oh, you're sharp. Okay, so building PowerPoint presentations. Did anyone mention building PowerPoint presentations when it came to selling? No, and our survey said, okay, excellent. So doing research on the internet, that's got to be selling, isn't it? No. Okay. So, designing products, is that what sales is? Because salespeople quite often do that, don't they? They don't talk to the customer, and what you've got to sell isn't quite like what the customer wants to buy, so they want to design the product. Yeah, did anyone say that? No? You did over there. Okay, well that's interesting. And what about playing solitaire? Anyone say anything about playing solitaire? No, because that's not sales. So, we'll go on. Do we like the Family Fortunes theme?
Yes.
We do, loving it. Okay, excellent. So, what about making the most of leads? Is that what sales is? Yes. That was actually a little bit loud. Okay, so making the most of leads. And this is interesting, so I talk to people a lot. And they say to us, either we're going to engage you to do some marketing, or we're going to employ a salesperson. And that's interesting to me because leads are actually the work of salespeople. If you have too many leads, you need more salespeople. In every other case, you need marketing. So absolutely, selling is about making the very most of leads. Okay, so what about helping people?
Oh, yes.
So it's interesting that helping people is actually selling. You're just looking for people with problems and you're looking to help them solve those problems. So everyone agrees with that because it's the right answer. Okay, cool. So what about motivating people to do something?
Yes. Yes.
You've guessed, haven't you? We're on the yes page.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So absolutely, motivating people to do something is sales. And motivating people to do something is a hugely positive thing, isn't it?
Yes.
If they're stuck doing nothing with a problem, then if you can motivate them to do something about it, then that is a fantastically positive thing. So I'm wondering if making it easy for people to buy is selling. Yes. We're on the yes page.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd say yes.
So you'd say it was yes.
I'd say yes.
It astounds me, because I've spent 15 years selling stuff, bending over backwards to make it easy for people, how difficult it is to actually buy stuff. Because you phone people up and you say, this is what I need, this is how much I've got to spend, and this is when I need it by, and the person on the other phone says, yes, 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 that's all great. You put down the phone, you'll never hear from those people ever again. What on earth is going on? Just make it easy for people to buy. That's good selling. So what about asking silly questions? Is that selling?
Yes.
Yes, it's selling, because we're on the yes page. There's your thing, that's your ding, Will.
That's it.
That's for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so asking silly questions. The silly question I had in mind when I put this up was the silly question that you get at McDonald's. Would you like fries with that? We know that silly question. Can we imagine how many millions of dollars that question is worth to McDonald's every year? Because people say, yeah, and then you might as well have the meal. And then you might as well be morbidly obese. But asking silly questions, because it's interesting, because Tim touched on it in his presentation about networking. If you want to be interesting, you have to be interested. You know, people won't come to you and tell you their problem straight off the bat. So unless you're prepared to actually delve a little bit, you won't get to the root of the problem, you won't fix the root of the problem, you won't necessarily have a happy customer and a referring customer. So asking silly questions and being interested and actually getting to the real root cause of the problem is really powerful and really effective selling, I would say. Okay, cool. So making friends. Is that selling? Yeah, absolutely. Have a ding. Okay, cool. So that's all it is go out there into the world and make friends that you can help with your solutions. You know, and if they are your friends, then they will work with you. Again, that's really effective selling. And then the last one I've got here is delivering on commitments. Is that selling? Yes. Yes, it is. Do we do it?
Yes.
Of course we do, because we are the cream of the crop. So have a dig for that. Okay, cool. So now what I'd like you to do with your new friend that you were talking to just a second ago is I would like you to take the 1 or 2 things on that list that you are going to work on, which are going to make you a more effective salesperson, and you've got 30 seconds to do that now. Oh, and also, I'd like you to definitely start delivering on commitments. So I'd like you to exchange cards and agree to speak in a week's time and see what you've actually done about that. Okay, 30 seconds. Okay! Okay, cool. So we've exchanged business cards. We're going to be in touch with each other in a week's time to make sure that we're doing the things that we've said we're going to do, yeah? Yes. Yeah, so we're all good with that. Okay, so if that is what sales is, aren't we all just selling all of the time? No. Who said no? You said no. You're not selling all of the time. You're not. You're not making friends.
No.
You're not helping people.
Oh, yes, I am.
You are. You're delivering on your commitments.
Absolutely.
You're asking questions.
Yes.
You're selling all the time. Yeah? In every relationship, if you motivate someone to do something different, if it's someone who works for you, if it's someone in your family, or it's a customer, then you are selling. So we are all selling all of the time. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
But there's a block that comes down when we start doing it in our businesses. Is there? I don't know. There doesn't need to be. So if you are doing this, you are all successful salespeople. Be happy. Hey, you're all successful salespeople. Okay, cool. So how are we doing? Have we defined what sales means to us?
Yes.
Yes, we did that. Have you reviewed your attitude to sales and salespeople?
Yes.
Yes. Have you revised your belief in your sales ability?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. Have you committed to doing something different that will make you better at sales? Tim?
Yes.
Yes, you have. Okay, have we identified ways of motivating yourselves and the people who sell for you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, have we done some silly things?
No.
Have we had some fun?
Yes.
Yeah, we're having some fun. Okay, cool. So, why do salespeople need to be motivated? This is an interesting question because you don't talk about motivating the accounts people, do you? God help us. But why? What is it that's particular to sales that salespeople need to be motivated? I've got an idea that actually, if you work in accounts, on the day you turn up, there is plenty of work to be done. Can you imagine that? If you work in compliance, there's loads of work to be done. Yeah? You turn up in sales, if you turn up to paint bridges, you know what the work is forever, don't you? You know that. You can see that there's a lot of work for that bridge painter. Yes? When you turn up in sales, there's nothing. Is there? There's nothing. You might, if you're lucky, have a phone and a desk. And other than that, there's no work to be done. And you might want to come down and speak to the golf club. There's so little work to be done. So that's one reason that salespeople need to be motivated, because they are self-generating. Because salespeople are about bringing in the work. If salespeople don't bring in the work, there is no work to be done. So you have to be a self-starter if you're going to be in sales. And the other thing is that sales never ends. So I don't know if you're familiar with Sisyphus, but he was damned by the gods to push this rock up the mountain forever, for all eternity. And if you've worked in sales, you will recognise that. Because you get drunk on the 30th of the month or the 31st because you had a cracking month, and the next morning you are a bum and you are starting with nothing. So it's continuous. Sales goes on for absolutely ever, like the Sydney Harbour Bridge. As soon as they painted it, they start painting it again. It goes on forever. Sales goes on forever. And people don't like us. People don't like being sold to. They don't like salespeople. It perturbs me that people still insist in putting sales on their business cards. You might as well write, please don't like me on your business card. I think it's interesting. People don't like us, so we need to be motivated. So that's an idea. Because people buy people, don't they? Yeah. So you need to be motivated to be the sort of person that people buy. What sort of people do people buy?
Happy people.
Bright people. People who are bright. People who are
Drunk.
people who married.
Yeah.
Bubbly. People buy people who are bright and bubbly and are generally just the sort of person. Yeah? So Mary Poppins is absolutely my brand idol because, you know, she's clear, she's concise, and she's got a natty way of getting things done.
Ex-nun.
People want to be ex-nun. So the estate agent, did they do that in estate agent school? But people, you just want to be the sort of person that people want to have in their lives. Like Tim. I want to have Tim in my life.
Sure, I want Tim.
Okay, cool. So that's the sort of people that people buy. And if you are this sort of person, then you will be an incredibly busy and an incredibly successful salesperson. It really is kind of as simple as that. So, how are we doing? Have we defined what sales means to us?
Yes.
Yes. Have we reviewed your attitude to sales and salespeople?
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have. Have you reviewed your belief in your sales ability?
Yes.
Yes. Have we committed to doing something that will make you better at sales?
Yes.
Have we identified ways of motivating yourself and those who sell for you?
Yes.
No, we haven't. We're going to do that. We'll do that next. Keep up, Tim. Are we doing some silly things?
Always.
You're wondering what those silly things are going to be, aren't you? You must be at this stage of the game. I'd just love it if I could do this one day and everyone would be up dancing to the Nolan sisters at the end. Just one time in my life, that would be fantastic. Are we having fun? Are we having fun at this
Yes,
stage?
yes,
We
yes.
are. Okay, cool. So, how do we motivate salespeople? Someone say the word? Money. Yes, so money motivates salespeople, does it? Not ever, really. Money's a really tricky thing. Money has become a conceptual thing in our lives. You know, I went to a chemist recently and I spent £7. I don't need to go to for comedic effect. It doesn't have to be a chemist, does it?
No, and it's £7.50 for a prescription, actually.
Is it? Okay, it might have been a
Did it stop the itching? Or?
They said to me, sorry, we don't take a card. I offered them my debit card. They don't take a card for less than £10. So I felt perturbed. I had to go to the cash point and draw out £10 and go back and leave with the change in my pocket. It was like an imposition because we don't relate to money that way anymore. I grew up in the 80s. In the 80s, my dad used to come home on a Thursday night with his brown pay packet with his pay in it. That was the money that we had for the week. And when that money was gone, if it was gone by Saturday morning, we were hiding behind the sofa from the milkman. You know, because money was real in those days. These days, it's a conceptual thing. And especially in all of our minds, it's a conceptual thing. So being motivated by money is really, actually very difficult. And I'm wondering if we all really valued money so much, would we have suffered the credit crunch that we've just suffered? I don't think we would. So money's a tricky thing. What you need to do is you need to connect it to the things that actually have meaning in your life. So you need to connect it to the houses, or the cars, or the works of art, if you're Fabio Capello, or the boats, or the African safaris, or the shoes that you might buy. Yes, that's there for the
She truly is listening.
Now, I managed somebody once, and we didn't ever speak about how many meetings she was sitting, or how many clients she saw, or how many proposals she put out. We spoke about shoes, because Melody was into shoes. So she would be motivated to make as much money as she could, so she could go out at the end of the month and buy as many shoes as she likes, and her husband wouldn't be able to say a word about it. Bless him. So what you have to do, if you're going to motivate people with money, is you have to know actually what they're going to do with that money, because that is a reality for them especially. Okay, so money is a challenging one. And in fact, if you read a book called Drive by Daniel Pink, it's a fantastic book, he talks about the challenges of motivating people with money. And in fact, they've done international studies where they've done tests with people and motivated them by money. So if you are even a poor person in India, in rural India, you will not be motivated by money unless it's a mechanical task. If you say to someone, pile up those boxes really quickly, I'll give you £10, then they'll do it. And if you say, I'll give you £15, they might do it quicker. So for mechanical tasks, actually money is a motivator. But if you ask people to do something with their minds, if you ask them to think about something, and remember, this is what sales is, isn't it? It's about being creative and finding ways of helping people and motivating people to do something else. So you've got two minds that you need to make up. Then money just becomes a distraction. It absolutely becomes a distraction. And then what he concludes is that money is absolutely a motivator. It has an effect on motivation. But the biggest effect it has is if there's not enough money on the table. People will be distracted about that. They will be distracted by that. They'll be thinking about how they can pay their bills rather than how they can hit their targets. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
So it's interesting when you come to think about commission-only salespeople. What's their mind on? Is their mind on making friends? Is it on helping people? Is it on motivating people to do something different? It's about actually them just hitting their target, however they can. So it's interesting. But what he says is that there are some really powerful motivators, things that really motivate all of us. And if we're running our own businesses, we will understand the motivation that comes from autonomy. Actually being the architect of your own future. That's really powerful and motivating, do we think? And interestingly, I've never walked into a business where they manage their salespeople effectively. So they've got complete autonomy, it's just that nobody's ever told them about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not suggesting that the Pope is autonomous, you know, there is a higher power. Mastery. People invest their weekends in doing things, in learning skills because they want to be better at them. They might go to comedy training clubs, they might learn the guitar, they might play chess, but people want to be better at stuff. Does that make sense? People want to practice and they want to feel like they're growing and evolving. And this, Daniel Pink uses to describe the huge open software systems that are available, like Open Office. People just came together with no promise of any pay or even any credit, and they just put this thing together to rival the Office system that's put out by Microsoft. That's because people want to master the things that they're doing. And salespeople want to be good salespeople. And purpose is really, really powerful in terms of motivation. Who here has a purpose for being in their business? For doing the things that they want to do? Certainly I do. I want to revolutionise marketing. I want people to think about it differently, to get excited about it, to engage in it, so they can take charge of their business. Now, I've never met a salesperson who's a Mother Teresa, but I've never met a salespeople who didn't want to help things, who didn't want to help the world. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so purpose is really, really powerful as a motivator. And of course, recognition is really powerful. People want to be recognised for the efforts that they're making. Does that make sense? So tell your salespeople, well done. If they're not even doing brilliantly, they'll soon get into the habit of doing that. So recognise every little bit of innovation and every bit of target that they bring to you. And for yourself, that's interesting, because the money thing, if we're running our own business, that's kind of on the table twice, isn't it? So it's there for the sales that we're going to make, and it's there for the bills that we have to pay. So you can never really get that money off the table. Okay, so recognition. Okay, so if you want to be the sort of people that people want in their lives, if you're going to be bright and bubbly, what sort of state do you need to be in, do you think, to do that?
Happy.
Positive, happy, anything else?
Engaged.
Engaged, interested. You know, these are the kinds of states that you need to be in. And I think we are in charge of our state. You know, it's really simple. It's a physiology. You change your physiology, you change your state. So just be aware that if you want to engage people in a way, you have to be in the sort of state that they would like you to be in at the very beginning. I've got a little bit of video for you. Can there be any doubt that the All Blacks are ready for that game of rugby? Can there be any doubt? That's the investment that they make to make sure that they're in the state that they need to be to go out and win a rugby match. Is there a South African in the room? Okay, then there's no one here to remind us that they actually lost that game. It's an investment that they've made for 100 years. There's 100 years of tradition. So actually when the All Blacks step onto a rugby pitch, they are deadly serious about what it is that they're doing. Now, is there a more serious function in your business than bringing money in? Delivering, so you can continue to bring the money in. Do you get to deliver if you haven't brought any money in? No. So Mary Poppins is with us this morning. So actually the most serious activity in your business is about bringing money into your business. Does that make sense to everyone? And so actually the people who bring your money in, if you employ salespeople, they need to be the most serious people in your business, because that's the most serious function. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, there's an issue here, and the issue is that we are actually just slaves to our minds. Do we understand that? We do, and we operate within the tight limits within our minds. Does that make sense to everyone? Do we know that our minds are stupid? That they are really, really easily fooled? Do we know that? So actually we can decide to do something that is actually beyond what our mind thinks. Okay, I'm feeling a silly thing coming on. Okay, I'm going to ask you all to stand up and I'm going to demonstrate this to you right now, how actually stupid your minds are and how actually you can be the masters of your minds. Okay, so you're going to do some turning. So what I want you to do, just imagine that you've got a pot of glue, okay, with a brush. It's an old-fashioned pot of glue with a brush. I want you to dip the brush into the glue, and I want you to put it on the soles of your feet so that your feet are stuck to the floor, so your feet don't move. Could you all do that for me, please? Great sound effects. Thanks, Will. Okay, so we're all stuck to the floor. Our feet can't move, yeah? Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you just to raise your pointing finger in front of you like that and just point forwards. Does anyone have a bad back? You're excused. Okay, you can sit down if you like.
Thank you.
I'll try it. You're going to try it. Okay, but everyone saw me ask him, didn't they?
Yes.
I'm not sure if you're a bad back. Okay, cool. So You're no good one. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I just want you to turn very slowly, pointing your finger in front of you, and I just want you to go as far as you can go. Don't strain yourself, but just go to where you think the limit is, and make a mental note of how far you actually got. Okay, has everyone done that? Has everyone got to where they can?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you just come back very slowly towards the front. So we've got a good idea of what we're capable of, yeah? Okay, cool. Have a little shake. What I'd like you to do now is to close your eyes, and I just want you to imagine, you don't need to do it now, I just want you to imagine raising your finger in front of you like you did before. You're just imagining now, Chris. With your eyes closed. With your eyes closed. Okay, and I just want you to imagine now going through the same activity that you went through before. So you're following your finger as you point it around the room. Okay? And you might just now be getting to the point that you got to before. And what I'd like you to imagine now is that you could just go a foot further, 1 foot further than you went before. And what I'd like you to imagine now is that you could go maybe another foot forward. And while we're there, we might as well just go 1 foot forward. So visualise what it is that you're now looking at if you follow the direction of your finger. Okay? And I'd like you to bring it back now in your mind to the front and put it down. Has everyone imagined that? Okay, so I'd like you to open your eyes now. So we're just going to do the same exercise again. We're still stuck to the floor. Is everyone stuck? Does anyone come loose? Okay, so now we're going to raise our finger in front of us. And just very gently, we're just going to start turning. We're just going to be interested to see how far we go. How's everyone got? No, keep turning, keep turning. How much further did you go? About a foot. So that was interesting. Your mind said to you, shut down the first time, didn't it? But actually, once we fooled your mind that this could happen, it was actually really easy to replicate. So actually, we can consciously be in charge of what goes on in our mind. Okay, cool. So have a little shake. That's cool. Right, what I'd like you to do now, because for me, your psychology, your state is just about your physiology. So you can change it. So did anyone feel a change when they just stood up? They felt some energy changing, yeah, and moving. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to put your arms out, okay, as far as you can, stretch out nicely, and I want you to look up at the ceiling. I just want you to grin. Now how is that? I look up at the ceiling and I really, really want you to grin. It's hard to be miserable, isn't it, when you're in that position? It's interesting. I want you to look at the ceiling and really grin.
I like that.
So, it's just interesting, isn't it? What was that, Will?
Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. You know, I was just so astounded that we got to there in the presentation the first half. It's good, we had 3 or 4 dancers, I was actually paying attention this time. Okay, cool, so I'm interested to know how we did. Did we define what sales means to you?
Yes.
We did that. Did we review your attitude to sales and the salespeople that you come into contact with?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Did we revise your belief in your sales ability?
Yes.
Yes, we did. Did you commit to do something different that will make you better at sales?
Yes.
Yes, you did. Did you identify ways of motivating yourselves and those who sell for you?
Yes.
Yes, we did that now. Did you do some silly things?
Yes.
Did we have some fun?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, I'm really glad because that's the end for me. You can get in touch with me lots of ways. I just want to say thank you very much.
Very good.